Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237. Coming at you with another H.P. Lovecraft film. We're getting into those a lot lately. And this time it is 2001's Dagon, directed by Stuart Gordon, who directed Reanimator. And what was his role in this? Brian Usna. I believe it was produced by Brian Usna, who produced first Reanimator and directed the rest. He also directed From Beyond, and I believe he directed Society as well. I'm gonna check that first, just because people like to correct me. Okay, Stuart Gordon directed Reanimator, From Beyond. Brian Usna directed the Reanimator sequels, and Society. And Stuart Gordon did this. Anyway, of course, it draws inspiration from both the short stories by Lovecraft, Dagon and Shadow over Innsmouth. Mostly Shadow over Innsmouth. Now, this was a film that I had never seen until tonight, actually. But I remember seeing this image at the video store a lot when I was a kid. And I always thought that was kind of creepy looking. But at the same time, stupid, even when I was a young kid. But I mean young kid, like 10 years old. I've known about this film for a while because the guy that tattooed my arm was a huge fan of Lovecraft, especially Cthulhu. And he was always like, you gotta see Event Horizon, Dagon, and In the Mouth of Madness. I have seen In the Mouth of Madness. Great movie. I've not seen Event Horizon, but finally saw Dagon, and I have to say I really enjoyed this film. Anthony Timpone, Fangoria Magazine, says Gordon's best film since Reanimator. I would still have to go with From Beyond on that one. But still enjoyed it all the same. It does kind of have both tongue-in-cheek and campy comedy quality to it. The effects is 2001. The makeup effects on the creatures and the gore effects look fantastic. They really do. CGI effects are as bad as like Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Specific scenes too, like in the beginning when we're under the water looking up at the boat, and we see like a CGI boat with waves hitting it and like blood coming down. It looks like a like old 2001 like PC game. And then one where tentacles come out of a girl's mouth. Both those effects are pretty damn terrible. But and some people have called this the best adaptation of Lovecraft, or like the best Lovecraft film. I'm still going through Lovecraft films, so as a movie, I'm always going to be Reanimator. It's my 6th or 7th favorite film of all time. Always has been. I'm always going to go towards Reanimator. But the film opens up, yet seems to be a lengthy opening credit sequence. It's underwater. You get like this sort of golden, almost Aquaman looking font. Um, Actually, the cast is going to be fun because it's also a Spanish film. So, the star is Ezra Godden, who I really liked. Uh, Francesco Rabal, this was his final film role. Raquel Marono, and Macarena Gomez, and also Brandon Price. Of those, Rabal, Gomez, and Price are the only ones that you can click on Wikipedia. Brandon Price, what else was he in? Nothing I've seen. So we're underwater and we see our lead character Paul. He's scuba diving. He comes across sort of architecture. It looks like bones. And it's like this giant. It's a big symbol. It's the symbol of Dagon, which sort of looks like a sort of looks like an eye, a circle in the middle, but like the points come out to lines. It's like this big, deep hole that goes way down to the depths of the sea. And then we see a beautiful nude mermaid played by Gomez, who then has teeth like that. And then he wakes up. He's out on a boat vacationing with his girlfriend Barbara, who is played by Raquel Marono, and this other couple, Howard and Vicky, played by Brandon Price and Bridget Buffalo. Probably pronounced that wrong. When they come across this old Spanish town, or rather village, and they hear chanting, they figure there's some sort of ceremony going on. And then the storm comes in. They try to get to safety. They hit a rock. Boat gets fucked up. Vicky gets her leg caught in the hole of the ship where the rock went through. And that's when the couple split up. You know, he stays with her because it's his ship and his woman. They go to the town for help. And that's where we get the effect of when we're underwater looking up, and it's just unsightly. Like, almost makes Ichi the Killer look good. You know, like the waves hitting the boat, the blood. Like, if it was that much blood, she'd be dead. And of course, that's what attracts Dagon. But it's when Paul and Barbara get to the town, that's when things are strange. Because they get there, there's no one there. They go in the church. Then they find a priest. Priest says, you know, he tries to help them. Then there's this one boat on the dock with these guys, but they're all pale and weird looking and off. They're like, okay, one of you go, and then one stay, and we'll call the cops. So Paul goes, but of course, when he goes, he doesn't find anyone on the ship, the boat. Barbara gets attacked at the hotel. You know, we see that the priest has webbed fingers, and the guy working at the hotel is just weird. She gets attacked, and then when Paul comes back, he gets sent to the hotel, and he sees that the guy is just non-responsive at the hotel. And when he finally turns, we see like gills. And then that's where the film finally starts. We see more and more townspeople who are these slow-walking, almost zombie-like in various ways, fish-human hybrids. You know, they can't really walk right. We'll find out why. They're kind of limping and staggering. They have their own language. It could be Spanish with just like animal noises put over it. I don't speak Spanish. And from there, it's just Paul trying to get away from them. Like, from the hotel to this one area, to this other area, to this other area. They just keep finding him. And that's where a lot of the comedy is. And Ezra Godden's performances, he kind of looks like, especially with his glasses, Jeffrey Combs. Like, if this were made in the 80s or the early 90s, I would almost guarantee he would have been played by Jeffrey Combs. You know, he's kind of pale, he's got dark hair, he's got glasses. In some shots with some facial expressions, it kind of looks like him. But he's also just like a guy, just a normal guy. Like, he doesn't speak Spanish, even though he is Spanish. You find out his mother fled with him from Spain to the States as a kid, wouldn't teach him Spanish, wanted to, be raised American. And now he's back visiting Spain. Well, even when he's trying to get the hotel room, he's trying to say, like, "Rumo, pleaso." Like, he gets up to the room, and, like, the water in the sink is all green. The shower's disgusting. The bed is, it's still raining, and just, the building's rotted. Everything's wet. It looks like fish people have been living there. Or it's just really old. And it kind of plays off like he's just having a really bad day. Like, that's sort of how the comedy plays out. And, it's just him trying to get from just one location to the next as he's getting more and more beat up and trying to get away from just swarms of these, like, imagine, like, George Romero zombies if they were mixed with fish. Like, some of them have really big eyes, or some kind of have tentacly arms, or like big mouths or gills or webbed hands. Most of them are all slick. You do get some creepy scenes, though. Like, it is creepy when either he's in the hotel room or he jumps out through, like, the greenhouse glass and he's in the next building, as he just sees them all realize where he is and kind of coming towards him with their moans and groans and growls and clicks and screeches. Like, that's, sketchy and creepy. Then he meets this guy named Ezekiel, who is played by the Francesco Rabal, who's he's human, and he's a elderly Spaniard. He's a drunk. And he's like, why have they not killed you? And, well, the name of the place is Imboca, but it's in Spain. And he says, he's the last full-blooded human. And he tells them the story that we see in flashback, that when he was a young boy, the village or the town wasn't doing very well. And then the people turned strictly from Catholicism to the worship of Dagon. And by doing that, like, gold would wash up on the shore, and fish was aplenty, and it became their main religion. and his parents were murdered because they chose to stay with Catholicism. And now they sort of look at him as just kind of crazy. And well, also they used his parents for blood sacrifices. And so then we get the scene where Paul wants to get this car. So they get to this one building that you get is like a special building. But of course, things get screwed up. He has to go in. And he ends up in this room of this woman. I don't remember how they pronounced it. I think it's Uxia. Probably Uxia. Uxia. Played by Macarena Gomez, who played the mermaid in his dream. She seems very smitten with him. Like, I know you've dreamt of me, I've dreamt of you, we're soulmates. He thinks Barbara's dead, so she starts to kiss him. He starts to go with it, and as he touches her, he feels the gills. And when he rips the blanket off, her legs are two giant tentacles. Practical. And of course, he's grossed out. Which we also see one other sort of elder of their people. Like, he wears like this big cloak. And he's got like crutches, and his voice is really like harmonized, gurgly. But she protects him. Like, she says, no, I haven't seen anybody. And he gets in the car, of course. He hits someone's and it crashes. There is one other creepy scene where he hides in this house that's like flooded. And there's a young boy who looks fine, who just won't stop yelling. We just kind of see this like ball of clothes sort of moving in like the ankle deep water. This big, bald, sharp tooth kind of person with tentacle arms is trying to kill him. He's got tentacles and sharp teeth, but he's trying to drown him in a toilet that has newts in it. Kills him with the toilet lid. And of course, he gets captured. He gets captured with Ezekiel, and that's where he meets up. He's with Ezekiel, Barbara, and Vicky. Vicky's still alive, so is Barbara. We find out Howard's been killed because one of the first places he ends up, there's all this human skin and faces hanging everywhere, and Howard's is one of them. Vicky's leg is missing, and find out that she has been raped by Dagon and now has his child in her. I should probably say Dagon is not really an original Lovecraft character. Maybe in this context he is. Dagon goes way back to like ancient, Egypt and Greek and, very ancient. I mean, it's all sea gods. But I figured someone was going to mention it and then further explain with stuff I already said, so. Vicky kills herself, and you do get this other good scene. This is the best gore in the film. Paul and Ezekiel are chained up, and they what was it they're given the choice to join the following and worship at Dagon, but they both refuse, and Ezekiel, as they start cutting his face off, because they say that they wear the face of humans because they're starting to either regress or progress, depending on how you look at it. That's why they're walking kind of funny and turning into fish, because eventually they will become sea people. So as they start cutting Ezekiel's face off, he starts reciting 23rd Psalms, which is the prayer given at funerals, like, thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me, which Paul knows and starts reciting with him. And I mean, they just start hacking at his face, and eventually they're just pulling on it and pulling on it. And once you finally see everything underneath his face, great practical gore effects. Like, it's not on the screen long, but when it is on there, it's on there. Then, of course, Usia comes in, saves Paul, tells them to spare his lives, he kills them. He ends up in this temple where because she tells him, you're my soulmate, we're meant to be together. The whole spiel again. And he's like, I'll do anything you want, just let Barbara go. And she's just like, no. Like, Dagon needs a sacrifice. And he even says, fuck Dagon. And she's like, yes, she will, and have child. And he's just like, what? So he ends up where that ceremony is, where it looks like from his dream, but not underwater. It's in the church. He goes through this secret way, and it's in the cavernous area. It has like the circle and the hole. You see us cutting Barbara up a bunch. She's naked, chained up with weights on her ankles. And they lower her down in the hole as they chant for Dagon. There's like this black tarry water. Or maybe it's ocean water. But when he's done with her, she's covered in black. The water bubbles. Paul comes in, just starts dousing everyone in gas and burning them. He brings her back up, and she was like, you have to kill me, you promised. Because when Vicky said what happened to her, she says, if that happens to me, promise me you'll kill me. But that's when we get the only slight image of Dagon, which at quick glance, imagine Nightmare Before Christmas, the weird Halloween Town monster that I don't even know what it is, that like the one with the mouth like that, with a bunch of tentacles. It just grabs her and pulls her back down. And then we find out, Usia tells Paul that their brother, she is daughter of Dagon. He is son of Dagon. Different mother, same father. That's why his mother fled Spain, wouldn't teach him Spanish or anything. And they've had dreams of each other. They're brother and sister, but now they'll be lovers for all eternity for Dagon. And he even douses himself in gas, lights himself on fire. And then the very ending's kind of weird because they both fall into the pit. And as they're underwater, it pretty much goes back to their dream. There's the big hole from the dream. She's the naked mermaid, which is actually 2 long tentacle legs. He's all burnt to shit, but he's got gills. Because throughout the film, he keeps like falling in pain and getting weaker. We find out it's because he's getting gills, because he actually is part of these people. There was something else I was just about to say too. Remember, that one elder with the crutches that wears, almost looks like animal skin over his head. When he takes it off, I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be Cthulhu. Looks looks just like him. Same shaped head, tentacle, mouth. I mean, cool creature effects on him too. But then that's pretty much where the film ends, is with them swimming down the hole. Um, it does have some. It's not quite as over the top silly as, say, Reanimator, or even work as much as Reanimator. Again, that's more so my kind of film anyway. But it did have good creature effects. I like the idea of him just stumbling upon this town. All the townsfolk are fucked up, part of this religion to this ancient god, and finds out he's been one of them the whole time. I mean, it's one of my favorite Lovecraft stories anyway. Really liked Ezra Godden's performance. He really sold it as like the everyman who is just fed up with his day. He's just trying to get out. Reminded me of Jeffrey Combs. It does kind of make me wish this was made earlier, so it could have been Jeffrey Combs. I almost guarantee it would have been. But when the humor and the gore and the way that the actual creepy scenes were played out, it felt like a Stuart Gordon film. And I really enjoyed it. I had fun with it. Yeah, some people have called it the best Lovecraft adaptation, which, and yes, I do have the list of Lovecraft films that I have to get and check out, so I already know all of them, but Dagon, it was kind of cool to actually see it at the store and be like, oh, Dagon, that's right, that's Lovecraft, and when I pulled it out, it's that thing that I've seen so many times at the video rental store as a kid. But which actually, this whoever Ramsey Campbell is, sexy, atmospheric, and outrageous. This could only be a Stuart Gordon film. Absolutely. He knows how to take Lovecraft and put humor where it works, and make it scary, dark, and creepy, or even disturbing when it has to be. And overall, make it fun and entertaining and gory. But, still not Reanimator, but I still enjoyed Dagon. Anyway, I did not mean for this to be a half hour long. But anyway, thank you for watching.